Hello and welcome to Man Enough. I'm Justin Baldoni.
I'm Liz Plank.
I'm Jamie Heath.
And Jamie Heath is by himself in the studio today again.
I am indeed.
Once again.
Oh my goodness, this is working out not very well, actually. I'm going to tell you the truth. It is not the same without you both here, honestly.
Jamie, who do we have on the show today?
We have a powerhouse of a woman. We have an incredible, special woman. She's the president of production of Marvel Studios. We have Victoria Alonso, who is from Argentina, who left there at 19, who came here into the Hollywood scene and worked her butt off with confidence and brilliance and talent, and is now president of production at Marvel. She's like one of the top 3 executives there, right? So, my goodness.
And she is a powerhouse, and wait till you see how this conversation goes. She puts me, Liz, and Jamie in the hot seat pretty much immediately. Although, Jamie, she didn't have any issues with you. No, she just complimented you and your beautiful voice. But we'll get into that soon. We'll be right back. This is Man Enough. Hello and welcome back to Man Enough. I cannot wait to just dive right in. Victoria Alonso is with us today. How are you, dear?
Hello. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it all.
We're excited to hear it all.
We are
No,
excited.
I want to hear from you because I have a lot of questions for you.
Ooh,
Oh my goodness.
I like
gosh,
this.
I love this. I love your energy and spirit already. You're going to come with it.
Steering
Okay.
the
That's what
ship.
we want.
Liz Plank, let's get to it. Who do we have here? Tell us all about Victoria.
We have Victoria Alonso, serves as Marvel Studios president of physical and post-production, visual effects, and animation production, in addition to serving as executive producer on blockbuster hits like The Avengers and all Marvel Studios that have been released since then, including Hawkeye, Spiderman, No Way Home, the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, as well as a slate of programming for Disney Plus, including Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk, which I'm very excited about. Alonso has become an important voice in Hollywood as a producer, as a Latina, and as a senior female executive. And she's already giving us executive advice and coaching about our podcast. What did you say before we started recording?
I said, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to have coffee with you all. I said that I had done a lot of homework about your show, and I was complimenting Jamie's deep, beautiful FM voice. And I also said that you, Liz, did not smile enough. And when I noticed that the men smiled, and Justin has a beautiful smile as well, and he smiles a lot, and Jamie less, but he does. But then when I compared you to them, I realized you were quite serious about certain topics that for them were kind of funny. And I realized that how men and women take all these topics quite differently. And sometimes, and I did say, I can't remember what I said, but I wonder why you didn't smile. And then I thought, oh, well, because I know how this affects her, or I wonder what she's gone through on that, where the men don't. But before we start, because I know you have all kinds of questions, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I have questions.
Okay. You want to start first with questions to us rather than us to you.
You're already my favorite guest we've ever had.
Man enough. Am I man enough? Do you understand that that's quite an affront to people that come into your show? Am I man enough? Now, I understand. I've watched the show, so I know what the show's about. But for those people that don't know you, the 3 of you seem to be the kindest, gentlest souls. And if you don't, you're great actors, so stay with it, okay? Because, fake it till you make it.
Liz, you might have a future in Marvel.
But man enough is quite the confrontation. So I was thinking this morning as I was getting ready, And I was thinking, what do you want to talk about? I'm sure they have ideas, but what do you want? And I want to talk about, what was it like when the three of you were sitting at a table deciding the name of the show? And why would you call it Man Enough?
Well, I can take this one, Liz and Jamie. So first of all, Man Enough was the name of my book, which was inspired from my TED Talk, Why I'm Done Trying to Be Man Enough. The reason that I chose the phrase man enough was because I wanted to take a phrase that caused me harm and pain and trauma in my life and take ownership of it and use it for good, to re-examine the idea of what it means to be man enough, right? What socialization teaches us boys growing up. It is to be man enough is generally rooted in a power dynamic resulting from the patriarchy, which causes harm. And I wanted to say, hold on, maybe we can flip it. Maybe we can take that phrase and challenge men to go deeper, to go in, to embrace the quote unquote feminine qualities, aspects of themselves, the parts that make us human, and be man enough to be emotionally brave, to be strong enough, to be sensitive enough, to be all of those things. So it's a reclaiming of a hurtful phrase to push us all to become better human beings. And it should be confrontational. That's the point. It should challenge men. What we don't want to do, of course, is challenge women. But we should challenge. But we should.
I'm sorry.
We should challenge men.
I beg to differ. I mean, I think it's beautiful, and I like hearing it, and I love your TED Talk. And
Thank you.
I think we should challenge everybody. What is this idea that we challenge is growth? So for you not to challenge women, then you're saying you don't need to grow in that department. Well, I call that BS.
Well, what I want to do is not challenge women with the title, meaning like the name of the book, the name of the podcast. We, by nature, 95% of my audience and fan base is women. I've done experiments, as you saw in my TED Talk, where I've done like months of just posting fitness, and it grew. But it grew like 4% or 5% or something. So I've embraced the fact that by nature more women are going to follow me. But my challenge is not like it's not my role, I believe, as a man to challenge women. It's my role as a man to help other men, to challenge other men to become the best versions of themselves, the best humans, right? It's one of the reasons why we have Liz on the show, Jamie. We have different viewpoints, different backgrounds, different experiences. That's why we want to have you on the show to hopefully start talking about you and not us. But so when I say I don't want to challenge women, I believe that women have been challenged enough by us men, and that's not my place.
Well, here's what I would say. Here's what I would say from a female point of view. Mm-hmm. If you are going to give us agency, then you have to give that to be our answer. Meaning, you can challenge everybody, and I can choose to say no thanks. Or,
got it.
You know what I mean? By you not doing it, you're already treating me differently. And then this love for equality, and I always say the same thing. We want to be treated equality, but with other respect. No, we want to be treated with respect, period. We don't want to be treated specifically different because we are women. We want to be, I mean, God knows I've been treated like a man my entire life. I've worked with men. I've succeeded with men. I've done 30 years of career with men. So I think at some point people forget you're a woman when you're the only one.
Okay, hold on. I got to stop real quick before we get too deep. I need to ask you the question we ask everybody on the show, Victoria, even though we are now on your podcast. I'm going to ask you a question, if that's okay. If we can switch for 1 second.
Carry on. Justice.
Victoria.
Yes, Justin.
When was the last time that you didn't feel, you badass alpha Latina powerhouse executive, when was the last time that you didn't feel enough?
I failed that part of myself every day. And I tell you why. There's never enough hours. There's never enough love. There's never enough time. There's never enough conversations I could have, opinions that I could give you, people that I could gather and try to problem solve. On a daily basis, I am not enough in the eyes of what is asked of me. And on a daily basis, I am all I can be. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you this, I give you my best, and my best is good enough. And that is the path of success. I say this to every person that comes to work with me. You will not fail. Mm-hmm. The only way that you will fail is if you don't give me your best. Mm-hmm. But what if that's not enough? I didn't ask you to give me enough. I give you to give me your best. Mm. If you give me your best and everybody around me gives us the best, then we'll gather all the best, and that will be what we need. Is it enough? I don't know. I don't know who's judging that, but I can tell you this. It will be good. Mm-hmm. The best of you is all I can ask. I don't live in the world of good enough. I live in the world of my best.
Beautiful.
What have you learned about men, having just been with them in these very male-dominated environments for so long?
I think that men have a phenomenal capability to compartmentalize. Mm-hmm. And I think there is a key to the level of success that they can find because of the compartment. This is a hard word for a foreigner.
It is.
Compartmentalization, whatever that word is. To compartmentalize.
You nailed it. Yeah.
And you may be having a divorce conversation at home before you leave, and somehow you get to the office and you're on it. Mm-hmm. And you're moving. And sometimes for some of us, not for all of us, but for some of us, that's not something we can do. Not all. I'm saying not.
I can't. I'm a terrible compartmentalizer. I really struggle with that.
Well, but
I'm good at it.
The thing is, I think, Justin, you are far more in touch with your feminine side than a lot of men are. Where I'm far more in touch with my masculine side than a lot of women I know. Mm. So for me, compartmentalizing is a little easier than some of my other peers that are female.
Do you think compartmentalizing is innate, or is it a quality you learn, almost a survival instinct, if you will, in the patriarchy?
I think it's a learned behavior.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's boys don't cry, get up and go, be tough, get out there, play football, break whatever it is that you need to break, and get up and score. Where we say to women, and we say it less and less. I mean, I don't do that to my daughter. She's 11 and I don't. But I think what we say to women is different. Some parents have that tough love of saying, go, stop crying, get over there. Yeah. But we're just, God bless, we're different, right? We are very different people. So that's something in the success. I also learned that most men, not all of them, and it depends of what realm of the creative world they come from. If they're the uber creator types, they do take it personally. Mm-hmm. But if they're more in the technician world, they don't. They stay on task.
Mm. But in a way, we don't allow women to oh my God, also
it's hard, isn't it?
Compartmentalize, right? Like, because I think I've talked about this, like, as a female boss, I'm curious, a manager, how do you enter a room and exude these traditionally masculine qualities of assertiveness, competence, right? Like, stay on task. This is, and whatever thing happened in the past, we're focusing on what's happening right now. You kind of get punished for doing that. You're seen as unkind. You're seen as a bitch. You're seen as, right? And so that's been often my personal struggle with that, is I think there are so many amazing traditionally masculine qualities when it comes to leadership that I don't have the luxury to actually practice without feeling like I'm going to get punished for it.
But that's not on them. That's on you. That's not on them. There is not one room I walk in that people have any doubts that I'm in charge. And not because I
including this podcast.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is like, I don't walk around saying I'm the big kahuna, but I walk around saying I'll take the hit for you because I am your boss.
Got it.
I'll take the hit. It's my responsibility. I won't go finger pointing. Finger pointing is for cowards. So if you're the boss and you're failing, it's on me. So rest on my shoulders. So it's not really this. It's more like, come on, just they're strong. I got ya.
Yeah.
And you don't have to become. I mean, what I've seen people become is I've seen people become this when they get to the top, or they think that they have to behave like men. And I'm not saying men behave this way all the time, all men. I'm saying some of them that have been in charge, that are notorious, that get a lot of attention. They have been. But there's a lot of great men. I work with a lot of great men, and I say this all the time. I work with some of the best men in the business. That's why I'm there. I wouldn't put up with it otherwise. But I think it's, I do a lot of interviews. Men come to the interview, open their legs, they come in, they're sitting down, they're talking to you about the 40% that they're in command. And they're like, let me tell you about what I can do, what I can do. Women come in with 97% of the job qualifications, and they talk about the 3%. The 3% that they don't have. So the question is, what is it in our upbringing that we have to tear ourselves down for having 57% more than the other guy that went for the job, which in any statistics whatsoever, it's my job. Get out of the way. It's mine. But somehow there's the level of confidence where Johnny Blow comes in and is like, no, let me tell you about, I tell you what, the 40% is really important because I can do this and I can do that. And as a boss, I have to say, I probably will have to put him in charge of that particular task, because when the big tsunami of pressure comes your way, that's what you want, as opposed to someone saying, in the 97% of your capabilities, if you concentrate on the 3% in that tsunami, people will perish.
Yeah.
Stop looking at what doesn't work and look at what does work and make gold out of that. No, it won't be, it may be 18 karat, not 24. Who cares? Some people like 18. Come in and own what you know and what you want. And when you walk in, Liz, instead of thinking they're going to give me a hard time for this, they're going to pick on me for that. No, I tell you what, come in with your 97% and let us see it. And then it's on me to pick on that 3%.
I agree with you. And at the same time, and I'm going to let the men talk, but I agree with you, but also men's overconfidence has come to great cost in our society, right? If you think about things like the financial crisis, if you think, I mean, we can even just look at that. We look at certain presidents in recent memory who were extremely overconfident about their abilities and would use that. I mean, it became sort of a weapon, right, against society. So I think that my perspective on it is I agree with you. I think we're at both extremes and we need to find a place in the middle, right? Like women have really low self-esteem. I think some men have high self-esteem that's too high for their abilities.
Overcompensation. That's overcompensation.
Overcompensation, right? And there's all kinds of ways that both of those things are damaging to us as a collective. And so I love what you're saying, and I need to take your advice, but I'm also wary of just saying, well, it's great that men come in for a job that they're not qualified for, and that they think and they deserve it.
I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I think that if you have 40% of the qualifications, you don't get to meet me. I don't have time for 40%.
Right.
But what I'm saying is 40%, 60%, 70%. But when you have a 70% and 97, which is fair enough, they can both do the job. They can both do the job because nobody's perfect, because you don't need all of it. And because the other, whatever, 25-30% is really living into this new enterprise of whatever company you come into, or whatever project you come into, whatever production you come into. The level of confidence that we teach young men is far more in tune than the level of confidence that we teach a lot of girls.
Sure.
I think it starts at the elementary school.
Agree completely.
Right? You have do you guys have kids? Justin, you have kids, right? And
Jamie has 17 kids.
I do not. Victoria. I've got 4 though. I do have 4.
I have a plant, and it's artificial.
I have two kids, 4 and 6, and I was actually Victoria. I'm finishing my. I adapted Man Enough and wrote a new book for young boys, and I was just before your interview writing about this exact thing. I was just finishing a chapter on this exact thing.
Wow.
So I love that you are bringing this up.
First of all, it only takes 2 minutes to be in a room with you, or at least virtual room with you, to know that you are brilliant, and that the reason why you are where you are is because of who you are. I don't know your skill set. I just know the spirit that you have, and that's inspiring. And I can imagine that you're an incredible leader. So congratulations on all your success. I have some thoughts in hearing you, and I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I was raised in a Mexican culture to begin with. My first 12 years. I lived in San Fernando, not the valley, but the city of San Fernando, which oftentimes people refer to as Little Mexico, where I saw a few amazing people. And I'll say that you would have been one. That was someone that you knew from that time was going to pull themselves out and rise to the top of whatever field they went in. And then you had a whole nother group of people that maybe didn't have your spirit or your innate just belief. So what I have found is a term that is triggering for me, not triggering, but I don't like, is when people say, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, right? Like you get the people that rise to the top, and then those people oftentimes will dictate to those others how they're supposed to pull themselves up. And that's a dangerous thing because everyone doesn't have what you have or what I have or Justin or Liz or another. In my experience, the majority of women have been oppressed in ways that it's been really hard to pull themselves out.
Yeah.
Not because they're not brilliant, not because they don't have the capacity, but because they're in a system that hasn't allowed them that. And also they didn't learn the skill or didn't have that innate understanding to know how to get out of it. So then in looking at it, I thought, how do I change some of the men around me? Because I didn't have the same voice as the women and the young girls that I was around. But the friends around me and the boys, I thought, I have a different perspective. How can I change their minds and their hearts so that they can be on board for this, so that they can either get out of the way or that they can help change systems that they oftentimes are in control of, even in the high school level. So I think these conversations are really important, and also to recognize that we're not just speaking about a select few, but we're speaking about the majority. And it's tough to generalize, I know, but the majority of women, in my experience, have reason to come into a conversation like this and take it more seriously than men. Black people generally have reason to take something more seriously than white people because the black people are the ones that are experiencing something 100%. Different. So I understand, while I appreciate your point about Liz maybe not smiling and why she takes it more seriously, seemingly, because we do take it seriously. But I understand it because this is, in her experience, her very fucking life.
Yeah. And whether you're black or white, as a man, things hit you one way. And then for Liz and I, right. And I tick all the boxes, Liz. I don't know about your boxes, but I can see only one. I can see only one right now. But it comes, I tell you what, it comes, and I'm sure you've done a lot of changes, Jamie, and just talking to people and telling them this is something that you can change. But I tell you a story about my little one. My little one, her name is Olivia. And Olivia is a very active child.
How old is she?
She's 11 and a half, going on 27. She's probably a mini Liz one. And she came one day and she said, I want to be a boy. I said, okay. I said, why? Because boys have more rights. They have it better. And I thought, what in God's name could have happened today? And this was like 4 years ago. At 7, for you to tell me you want to be a boy. And I said, wait, hang on. I and your other mother have shown you that you can be whatever you want, that you can succeed, that you can fight the fight. You can just get out there, persevere. There is a bright future. You will be loved and supported. And I said, what happened today? And she said, I was in the soccer field playing with all boys, and I got shoved and kicked. And I said, and what did you do? Well, finally I left. And I said, well, I'll tell you what you're going to do tomorrow. The minute somebody shoves you, that is not proper. Okay, they're shoving in soccer. This is what happens. But if somebody comes at you and is aggressive, you turn around and you go, don't do that. I said, don't punch him. Just say, don't do that. That's not nice. And you carry on playing. So she came back, and then she said, she calls me Cookie. Cookie, because when she was little, I used to call it cucurucha, which is sugar cone in Spanish. So I will call her cucurucha, cucurucha. And one day she goes, Cookie. And I said, Cookie, we'll call each other Cookie. And she goes, Cookie, I did what you said. And I said, and he stopped shoving me. He didn't shove me anymore. And I said, so what did he say? He goes, I didn't think I was shoving harder. I was just shoving like I do. But I won't do it again. And I thought, why? And I said, do you still want to be a boy? She goes, no. I said, okay. And I thought, two things, right? The kid that has to stop doing the shoving has to tell the other kid that doesn't even know he's doing the shoving. Do you know what I mean? He's just being a kid. He's wrestling. Yep. Probably that's what he does with his brothers. It's also, that's what they do on the field. And it's okay because that's what they do. And boys, whether they like it or they don't like it, they put up with it. And if you go back as a boy and you go, don't shove me, then it's a whole different conversation.
How does that work? Because I love that story and I believe that. I remember being a boy. I remember what age it was, and I said to my mom I wanted to be white. She asked me similarly, why did I want to be white?
Yeah.
Well, aside from the fact that my mother was white, and there were cousins that were white, but in my experience, being black was not great. Now, if she tells me, when I tell her all the reasons why I want to be white, because I'm being pushed, because I'm being bullied, because I'm being made fun of, because I'm being called names, because the teacher's not liking me, because I'm being failed at a rate differently than the white kids, even though my grades or my understanding of the material was better, because I was being blamed whenever something was missing, even though I was not around there, but they assumed it was me. If she says to me, just tell them stop. It didn't work. They kept doing it. And then throughout my life, I've been telling people to please stop. And it didn't work. It hasn't worked. So while I appreciate the story, and yes, there's something that comes from me owning my own experience, that alone didn't change the behavior of others and my experience.
You're talking about racism versus
sexism.
I don't even know that they saw her as a girl. They just continued to shove and have. I don't even think they can qualify it as it. They did. It wasn't like they didn't want her to be on the field. They just wanted her to play as hard as they played. And she kept saying, "I score all the time." Because I just wait. She's super strategic. She ran less and scored all the time. And they hated that. They hated that she had the strategy in her brain to go and do that thing. So it's, but I know what you're saying. And God knows, I wish we could take that away from, the younger generations that are feeling what you felt, Jamie.
But doesn't that happen to women also? I mean, yes, maybe not particularly those boys didn't maybe see her as a girl, although I would beg to differ. I think boys are taught, and they know she's a girl, and they know they can get away with certain things that they don't. And then if your daughter didn't have you to say that, maybe another mother says something different to the next little girl. The little girl doesn't have that skill set to know to stand for herself, to know that she's got two powerful, amazing mothers. And she's being raised with television and society and all the stuff and boys, all that stuff happens. Now we have this little girl grow up. And what does she do now?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right that another mother could have said, don't play on the field. Just don't go play basketball, go play volleyball, go play with the girls.
Yeah.
And that's not what she wanted to do. I mean, that's what I did, right? I was not allowed to play soccer. So for me, the fact that she was playing soccer was like a beautiful thing, because in Argentina, you couldn't play. Women didn't play soccer. Women didn't play soccer until, whatever, 5 years ago.
Right.
I'm 56. It's like, get on with it, people. It's 2022. But to go back to Liz's question, part of it is learned behavior. Part of it is innate. Part of it is how many confrontations do you want to have a day about what?
Right.
Because it is consistent. And the same way that, Jamie, you continue to feel all of that, the isms, for me is constant. I mean, I have to come out every time. Every time. What do you mean you're gay? You're not gay. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I am. I've been married 20 years. So yeah, I guess I am gay. But you were married to a man. Yeah, I was married 12 years to a man. But I currently am married to a woman and we have a child. I am gay. No, I think you're bi. Okay, if it makes you feel better. Whatever you want. But you know what I mean? Like, but those conversations happen all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Now a little less because, all of a sudden people caught a clue that some things you don't need to ask me.
Right. And there's a tension between because I agree with both of you, right? It is both important for marginalized people to be instructed and encouraged to reclaim their power, right? And to reframe experiences and to set boundaries. It is also very depleting to constantly have to do that as well, right? And there's actual data around sexual harassment that women who are sexually harassed in the street, the mere act of saying something back or standing up for yourself or defending yourself or saying, don't say that to me, diminishes the negative impact of the harassment. So even if it doesn't change the guy's mind or the woman, but in most cases it is meant towards women, if it doesn't change the guy's mind or if he doesn't say, I'm sorry, just the mere fact of standing up for yourself will make you feel differently about the experience and will make that experience less taxing to you as a person. So, but yeah, where's the balance? And I guess, even when we're talking to children and sort of teaching them to stand up for themselves, where is that line where it's helpful or where it takes away and it becomes,
I think that, in order to make a change, it is not good enough that I do it or Jamie does it or Liz does it. Justin has to do it. Because the straight white man, especially the kind, good-looking straight white man, which is what you have, Justin, beyond your brain, it's easier to go in and people do listen and they see you as an equal. And if you drop your guard, if you say, you know what, today I've done enough. I'll tell you a story so that it puts it in perspective. I've told this story before, but we had two directors for this particular film, and they were coming, and we were meeting with one, and we were running very late. So the assistants had gone back and said to this gentleman, I'm sorry, they're running behind. And she had gone and he had gone. There were two assistants. They had gone 3 times to say we were running really late. So finally, I said to the boys, I'm going to go and I'm going to show my face and tell them that, I'm sorry. So I get there, and he was nervous. And I said, hi, I'm so sorry. We're running so. Have they offered you? Do you want anything to drink? I'll get some coffee. And I went, oh, okay. And I said, so you step over here, and because I was me, like the me that you met early this morning. And I said, nice to meet you, blah, blah. And I go in there and I said, so how do you take your coffee? I want milk and sugar. I thought, okay, so I'm making the coffee, and I put an equal on it. He goes, God damn it, I told you that I wanted milk and sugar. And I said, no, I heard you. I heard you. This is my coffee. Now you watch me do the coffee. Now you know how the machine works. Make yourself a coffee. We'll be right back. And once again, I'm sorry we're late. I could have done, I'm Argentinian, so you know I'm cocky as cocky can be. Jamie will tell you that comes with the food.
It does.
I could have said, don't you know that? All the things that people say about Hollywood people all the time. And I thought, no, I'm just going to make some coffee. And he will not forget it, because I went away with my coffee, came back, and he was purple. He didn't know who he was meeting. He thought I was assistant number 4, who he should have never treated that way to begin with, ever, because you don't treat people that way. But that is something about that hierarchy of what I am entitled to, and assuming that when the girl comes in, she's less than.
Yep.
So when you say, don't you get tired? Yeah, it's tiresome. It would have been nice that he would have said, hey, nice to meet you. I heard a lot about you. I blah, 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 blah. I am from this place. You're from that place. We have a lot in common. He could have done that. But no, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
How did it end? Did he apologize?
No.
No, of course not.
He didn't. Of course not. No, he didn't. And he didn't get the job either.
Well,
Which had nothing to do with the interaction. He didn't have the better pitch. Do you know what I mean? Because I could have had that conversation with him and say, hey, when we met, you were truly a jerk. What was that about? Were you in fear? Really? To treat me like that, where I just came with the kindest ways, just to make sure you were okay? I left the other meeting just to come and tell you we were late, and to show you a face to say, you matter, you're important, I'm sorry, we're almost there. But you cannot not be vigilant.
Yeah.
You have to. And not only that, you have to find people like Justin to stay vigilant together, because we chip at it. Sometimes when people like you, Justin, come in, because it was chipped, you come in and you crack it. Not because you could crack it on your own, but because we were there chipping.
Jamie, do I have a new best friend? I want Jamie, I love how you say it, and can you just give the audience the analogy that you always give me on days when I, have my moments of like being tired or we're having conversations about the chisel. Yeah, because it's so similar to what Victoria's saying, and it's really made a huge difference in my life. And
so one thing is, as I go into that, by the way, Victoria, you said before we started, I got all kinds of stuff that I want to pick apart about your show. You said something like that, and in fact, I don't think you're really doing that. I think that we're really aligned, really. Right? So I'm curious at some point to see, like, what is it that you want to pick apart? Secondly, I agree with everything you said about Justin. One of the things he does have is the ability to reflect, to stumble, to screw up, and then the next morning commit to being better. He's really good at this. A lot of men are not. Some of the stuff I remind him and a lot of my white friends is this: Justin has this, and I think it is because he's a white man. He has this feeling that he can fix something overnight. Like, oh, I see a problem. Let me just go and do something grand and large and put a lot of light on it, and that'll fix it, because his heart is he wants to fix it. But we know that's not how things are fixed. It's just a big firework that's great. Everyone looks at it, then they keep moving. I always remind him to take his little hammer and his little chisel, and you chip away at it every single day. And the problem with this is that you don't see results every day. If you're stuck in a dungeon, taking that, you don't see any results, so you might get fatigued because you're like, what the hell am I doing this for? I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting out. But it's a lifelong commitment, a year-long commitment. Every day you do this, and then eventually you start making headway. But that actually lasts. And if you get other people to do this, and this is really the method I think that we all have to take, is take on that hammer and chisel every day in our lives and pry away at these problems. And which is why I love the show called Being Man Enough, is because men sometimes need to, amongst ourselves, kind of like an orchestra, you know, how you have all these beautiful things. You have the strings, you have the horns, you have the choir, you have the percussion, and all of these different instruments. And the purpose is for them all to come together and make beautiful music. But sometimes the horns, let's say that they're men, need to practice alone so that they can fine-tune their own instrument, so that they can like work out their quirks, and then come back together with the orchestra so that the music can sound great. And Man Enough is in that spirit. Let's have a conversation with men and let's fine-tune so that we can be better for society. Now, we're doing this publicly, so there are other instruments are listening, but the purpose really is to focus on those horns. It's not to say that strings don't have work to do. Women have work to do. Other people have work to do, all kinds. But we can own our own, and because I'm a man, I might be able to speak to Justin in a different way than Liz, and that's really why we do this, which I think we all agree. And I love what you're doing. Please tell us some of the stuff that you think that we are not doing, or what are some of the stuff that you want to pick apart? Because that's what I would love to hear.
I'm interested in, first of all, I'm just interested, period. My curiosity is just my, you know, people have blood that goes through their body. I have curiosity. So I'm always going to be trying to learn and to find out and to why. And when you said that, whatever, 90% of your audience is female, and the title of the show is called Man Enough. The reason why I said, I kept thinking, after what you've gone through, what you learned, why call the show Man Enough? Because that won't attract men. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying the problem is men, but the solution could come from men tuning in. So I was just curious because, you know, when we pick names for our shows, for our movies, there's a backstory that goes with it. You know, the Multiverse of Madness for Doctor Strange has a lot that goes with it, right?
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder, there's a lot that goes there. It's picked specifically for reasons that you discover when you're there. And I was wondering, because you are effective speakers and you actually have something to say and you can get to the core issues, what is it that Man Enough is not attracting men?
Well, interestingly enough, what we see happening, what I see specifically happening, is that, at least with my book, women are buying it for the men. Mm-hmm. Men are reading it privately, messaging us privately, but not reposting or resharing because of embarrassment and shame. That's why, as an example, so as you see, this book had my face on it. The publisher made me do this. I didn't want my face on the book. The next paperback version, which comes out soon, is a complete redesign. I took my face off of it because men were taking off the cover to read the book. If it's not a self-help, David Goggins, like, man up, tough up, like, quit bitching, run, just fucking get up in the morning and run. Ah! If it's not that, if it's not Jordan Peterson, here's the rules for living, just make your fucking bed. Whatever it is. The patriarchy doesn't exist. Just look at lobsters. Whatever the thing is that validates their own feelings. Yeah. Men are going to have resistance to it. And while, Victoria, I hear you, I disagree because of this. I'm not going to coddle men. I'm not going to change the name of the show because it makes them feel intimidated or less than. I would much rather have 80% of our show be women, which is the number, and 20% be men for the first season, and have that change in the second season, because the 20% that are men, are open, are learning, are listening, and they then go and interact with all of the men in their lives, which was the whole point of why I wrote the book in the first place. If I can affect one man, how many does that man interact with on a daily basis? That's how change happens, I believe. No, which isn't the huge thing. So I didn't want to change the name for the podcast, because this is what it is. This was the movement, and the movement was to undefine masculinity, not redefine it, undefine it. Let's undefine it to make room for anybody who identifies as a man to be allowed to be a fucking man without shame or without judgment and without any of that stuff. And guess what? I still work out. I'm still a bro. I still love sports and want to play. Let's go. But also, yes, I'm far more in tune with my feminine side, if there is such thing, than other men. And that gives me a unique opportunity to affect both. Women are drawn to the things that I say and how I say them. And men
can hear it
because, again, I have that straight white thing going on. Although now I just get made fun of because my hair is so long, and that's feminine, evidently. But then I just point to Jason Momoa and Aquaman, and I say, come on. So I agree and I disagree, and I think that, but I appreciate what you're saying. I just would never want to change the name to something.
No, but my plea was not to change it. My curiosity was why, and you very eloquently explained it. You can take something that happened for you that you put on to the book, and that you make it successful.
Yeah.
And that then you can actually elevate it to a different place. And I think that's great. It's just that it's kind of curious.
Yeah.
Jay, even if I have thought about it too. Titles. I get that man enough. A lot of people at first are like, well, what's that about? And they assume it's about one thing and not the other.
Yeah.
But I also know that we could change the title to almost anything. If it's about self-help or about looking at oneself, oftentimes men are resistant to it. I host a lot of spiritual gatherings where we talk about the oneness of humanity and the oneness of God, and no matter where you come from, let's all find our commonality rather than our differences. And what I have discovered is that when we invite men, no matter what we call it, men don't come as much as women come, because women want to talk about stuff. In my experience, women who are more willing to talk. You ask your average woman, are you in therapy? Almost every woman I ask is like, yeah, I've been to therapy or have one. And I ask men, and it's like hit or miss. Most of the time, not.
Yep.
So I think we've learned that men generally don't want to have these conversations, at least at first. They don't think they want to. So no matter what we put the title, man enough, or we could say, I don't know, whatever else it could be, I think they'd still be resistant. Yeah. But what I have learned too is that we are getting so much responses and mail that comes in or messages, and a lot of it is men. But what I am hearing also that's so powerful is women saying, it's refreshing to hear men talk about something that I can't get my husband to talk about, or my husband's friends. And to see you guys do it and have a platform and know that I can use some of that for my own belief and not have a disbelief in men, it gives me more capacity to deal with my own husband and then my brother and things of that nature. So even if we're reaching women and validating wherever they're at is also important, even if we're not reaching all the men.
Victoria, I'm just going to read this one thing because I literally just got this. This is an example of many of the DMs that we get. Hey, Justin, I hope you're doing well. Since reading your book and listening to your podcast, you three feel like some of my best friends. I decided to go to therapy and get the help and the truth about myself that I needed. It's helping me be me, not only me, but everyone else around me. I won't lie, going through therapy has also exposed a massive amount of insecurities and battles. But now I'm walking my journey through who I'm meant to be. It's been lonely. Last week, I had moments of not feeling related, understood, or seen. It cut deep. I felt lost, but I took the advice you three always talk about. I talked to a friend, a male friend. I was vulnerable. So I turned to my best friend. I poured out my heart, and man, it felt so good. I was emotional. I was real. I felt seen and still do. And it's because of you, Liz and Jamie. I am putting in the work, and I appreciate you three. Keep doing what you're doing. It changed my life. So this is why. The one man, this is our chisel, right? This is our chisel because it's the one man, and he opened up to his friend, and now maybe his friend's going to open up to him, and this is where the beginning happens.
Justin, that's a hammer. That's no chisel.
Well, I think it's a chisel. Because it's still 20%. It's still 20%.
I know, I get it, but the chisel would have been that he considered, right? He listened. He considered going to therapy. He went to therapy. He did the work. He shared it with the friend and took the time to write you an email. That's a full-on hammer. That is a changed life.
and men will not do things that they're not rewarded for, right? Like the thing that you were saying, Jamie, I agree with, right? When we talk about traditional self-help, women are the biggest buyers of the books, the workshops, but actually self-improvement is defines our sort of prototypical ideal of masculinity. I know, Justin's was listing all these books. There's so many books about bettering your body, bettering your mind, this productivity porn stuff, right? Men are constantly trying to change. But they're not rewarded to change emotionally, to mature emotionally, right? They're rewarded when they're more productive, when they're stronger, when they're, all those things. So as society changes, as who men like women. And so when women are interested in men who are more emotionally evolved, it will also then, I think, encourage men to buy those books, to buy Justin's book, and to listen to this podcast, because they're going to want healthy relationships with women. Our entire definition of masculinity is really changing. And I feel for men who have not been raised in the society that we're in right now, right? That were told not to cry, that we're told that, we have men come on this podcast and tell us, this happened just yesterday, I only knew how to feel angry or sad, or I only knew how to, am I annoyed or am I not annoyed? And he needed his therapist to show him like here are all the list of emotions that you can feel. Men growing up right now, didn't get that as children. They didn't grow up in that society. So I feel for men who are struggling right now, but I'm so thankful that there are people like Justin and Jamie who are offering them resources and inviting them into these circles, and giving them the opportunity to improve.
But do you think that it's the same for gay men? Because you said, men like women. Well, that's not necessarily true. Some men like women.
Oh, I'm 100% probably heterosexual men, and I think gay men. I mean, I've interviewed many of them, and they deal with the same masculinity, all of that baggage that comes with it. So gay men struggle with it too. Yeah. It just presents itself differently.
No man is immune.
I wonder why, the fact is that the 4-letter word that is help, the self-help books, where truly it's about growth. And I think that if you can reshift that and realign it with everyone wants to grow and everyone wants to be happier. So if you're saying that men only do things when they get something out of it, right? When they get rewarded, well, a happy thought is a good thought. And I think that they work on their bodies because they get more attention, which means they probably will get more dates, which probably will get more activity, which eventually will be a happy thought. And the one thing that I feel as society, we don't reward enough is conversations with a deep meaning, because what that growth a lot of the times is internal. And it takes a lot to be translating that to the everyday, although it does right away. But because that's not something that you can measure, and that's why men are so highly competitive. I always say, if you want to do something in Hollywood that people will follow, make it a competition. The minute that you put together 2 studios, 2 production companies, the minute, there were 2 volcano movies way back when. Volcano and Dante's Peak. Who will do it better? You know what I mean? There are 2 earthquake movies. Who will do it better? There's something about competing for that that creates involvement, not necessarily that creates success.
Victoria, I want to piggyback off something you just said and actually go to your job for a second. Yes. When we talk about growth, and you were mentioning like that internal growth, the thing that isn't necessarily immediately rewarded, what comes to mind for me is, well, what's the thing that most men spend most of their time working on? One of the things for sure is their bodies, right? Yeah. They want to become alphas. They want to become successful. They want to be the heroes, right? And here you are, a woman, working in what I would argue probably before maybe Marvel became big, the comic book industry as a whole was predominantly men, white men. Yeah. I know that there were female artists especially early on, and animators and things, but a very, very male-oriented industry. And if you look at superheroes, and heck, even the way that when female superheroes were introduced, the way that they were drawn and described, you know, I'm a comic book buff. I had a massive comic book collection. My favorite thing was when my dad would take me to the little comic book store in the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica in the 80s and the early 90s. I'm 38 now. Silver Surfer, the initial X-Men, like, you know, the Fantastic Four, like all of the Avengers. These were my role models.
Right.
And they told me who I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be, and I mean, it was literally, I was supposed to be a white savior. Like, that's what I was conditioned to become. I was supposed to be the person that came in not with the chisel, but as Jamie said, who could fix everything. I was supposed to be Superman. I would come in and I would save the world, and the woman would fall in love with me, right? And I'm curious how interrelated you think this idea of, like, okay, well, this is why men don't want the emotional work. This is why men aren't doing the emotional healing. They're doing the physical. They want to be successful. They want the outward reward, because that's what we've been telling boys they have to be for as long as, you know, entertainment has been existing. And how do you think those are related? And how are you as a woman inside this massive industry fighting for change?
I think fighting for change is just being in existence, just showing up. 50% of the fight is showing up. Just show up. And if you are also lucky that in the room you have 30% of your type, then maybe whatever you're proposing has a quorum to be heard. If you don't have 30%, it's going to be a comment. I always say that I make 1,000 comments a day, out of which 998 get dismissed.
And by 30%, can you go into that? Because Jamie and I just had this conversation with another group of men over the weekend. Are you meaning 30% of marginalized voices, maybe people like you, or are you talking about 30% of
30% of quorum for the idea? If it's all women, that's great. If it's all gay women, that's great. If it's all Hispanic gay women, that's it. If it's all, but you'd never get an exact 30% quorum. You have an idea and you say, I think Justin should cut his hair. And I go, oh, that's it. I wonder.
No, don't go there. Don't go there, because Jamie's been saying that for a long time.
We're going to get off track.
Oh, God.
So I'm saying, if you hear it from me only, you go, yeah, whatever. If you hear from me and Jamie, then you go, yeah, whatever. You hear from me, Jamie, and Liz, you go, really? You really think? Okay, well, let's consider this idea. Because if there's so many of you that have said it, but going back to your white savior comment, one thing is the comics, although just so you know, when you were reading all those comics, there was Black Panther that was being drawn up in the 60s as well. So
yes,
and Shang-Chi and I can go on and on. Now, the thing about that moment when you take the comics to life and you see it in moving form, and I will never forget the first time I took my daughter to see a movie at the El Capitan Theater where they have a live show. I mean, it was a moment to remember, because all of a sudden she had live people dancing and then a movie, and it was this overload of like, oh my God. And I think that's what our movies can do for people. Not only to find some sort of identity within it, but also find guidance. And I don't mean this to sound like we preach something to you, but guidance in certain situations that you may not find at home, for whatever the reasons, because you like to wear, purple tight pants, and so does the Hulk. And so for a moment, it qualifies your choice as an okay choice, as opposed to what they're telling you at home. But what we also wanted to do was, if you take a god like Thor, who Chris Hemsworth is, he wants to make all of us be a better man. Mm-hmm. He is a gifted, talented, not only actor, but athlete. So when he gets all ripped, then you believe that, oh my God, look what's happening. And then what we did is we deconstructed that God and the godly body and the godly beauty. And we said, he's sad. He's eating his feelings. He's drinking his feelings. How is he going to get through this? We want to show you both sides.
Yeah.
Because to see Chris Hemsworth with a big belly and a big beard and to not look so attractive, quote unquote, to the eye, was a way of saying, it's okay to have feelings. Because if this dude that is a god when he's in it has feelings, and he can just drop the guard and have them and work through them and then get to the other side, which we'll see if he does. But if he doesn't, it's okay too. Attacking that in a massive, massive pop culture thing, for me as a filmmaker, is the gift of being at Marvel Studios. To be able to say that in Black Widow, that women are not garbage. Even though if there's one man with a great deal of power that finds women that are displaced and takes them in and creates something else out of them, women are not. And there will be other women that will lift you. And there will be other women that will guide you. And there will be men that will come and respect you and follow through.
Were you one of the voices championing Chloe Zhao on Eternals?
Oh yeah, she had the best pitch.
Because I loved it, and I just thought it was so well done, and it was really.
I truly believe Eternals is ahead of its time.
It is, but I loved it.
And I think that what happens with something that is ahead of its time is that it's like this good wine that you don't open, but then 5 years later you have a great wine.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know that because you don't drink you have a whole house full of wine that you don't open.
Listen, there's a whole lot of things I can't fly, but I can tell you I can help the flying sequence to fruition. So
that is right.
I don't have to do it all to be a part of it. I just have a little bit.
I agree.
Well, I love it. I love everything you're doing. I loved Eternals. As a filmmaker myself, it was one of the first Marvel movies where I was like, that would be the type of movie I would want to make. Like, there's so much emotion, so much depth, so many questions about life and our flaws and who are we and why are we here and what are we doing and interpersonal relationships and mortality. And I just thought it was brilliant. And I am very grateful that a woman was at the helm, and that I'm sure you were one of the champions of that.
Chloe Zhao is terrific. You should invite her to come and chat with you.
Evidently we're neighbors. I just found out she lives in Ohio as well. So
yeah, she does.
Yeah,
she does.
Victoria, can I ask you a quick personal question? Or it's work, but personal.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a daughter who's 32, who's her mother's Mexican, so she's brown, black and Mexican. When she was younger, we did this exercise with all of her friends in her class to name name 10 white people. And they named all these famous people and powerful people. And then name 10 black people. And by the way, all the famous people that they named were all men. Maybe there was one woman. And then it was name black people. And mostly it was athletes. A couple singers in there, like a Michael Jackson or such. Now name 10 Latinos or Latinas, the Latin people. And first of all, out of the 10, there was only like 3 or 4 listed. They couldn't come up with any more. And of the ones they listed, do you know they said Maria, my housekeeper. They said the bus driver. And I was like, what the fuck? And so my daughter, who's young at this age, is seeing here that the perception that people have, or not even the experience that people are having, is that Latinos are this and not this over here. As white people were up here, black people were in this point, and Latinos in her experience. You are a woman of Latin descent that has become a woman that I wish my daughter could have named. And that other children could name. And and I think with that comes a huge, I don't want to put the burden on you like it's your responsibility, but how do you own who you are and those circumstances coming from where you come from and getting to where you are, and then so many other people? Do you feel like if you were to go give a talk to 10-year-old girls and 10-year-old boys that were of Latin descent, what would be your perspective about, how you've gotten there? And do you take ownership of that or any sort of responsibility to give that back?
Well, Spiderman says it best, and if you saw Spiderman No Way Home, says it 3 times. With great power comes great
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm sorry your daughter didn't have the names, although they do exist. So maybe
they do.
She didn't have access. So maybe
it just wasn't my daughter, by the way. It's all the class, right?
Oh, I see. So the quest is in why I was saying that in elementary school there's all these forming moments, and why, Black History Month, Latin Heritage Month, and why that is so important. So everyone, or the Asian Heritage Month, all of that is important for kids to see themselves. Part of what we are trying to do at Marvel is that every kid will see themselves. Mm-hmm. So that it's not just Black boys that want to be the Black Panther. That is Black boys and Black girls and white boys and white girls and Asian kids. That everybody, because if Spider-Man gets to be everybody, why couldn't Black Panther be everybody? The responsibility that comes with it is huge. But the way I see it is, I see it as a place of service. And for me, Marvel Studios will give me 15 minutes at the podium. I believe in that. That's Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So I can be here today, and then who knows? I mean, I've been here for 30 years, but who knows if I have another 30 of this type, or I have 2. So why come on your podcast? Mm-hmm. Because truly, I don't have time. Mm-hmm. And truly, you preach what I live. So there's nothing here really that I could potentially create of change, because you're doing it. But that's not true. I think if I don't show up to your podcast, then the new class of sons and daughters and other will not be able to name us and represent if they don't have a frame of reference. Mm-hmm. They don't have a face to look and mirror themselves and go, well, she's a little like me. She's gay, or she's a foreigner. English is her second language. And, she has an adopted child and a wife, and, and she's still there. She's still there. She's not, she didn't end up homeless under the freeway because her parents beat the bejesus out of her, or threw her out of the house when she was 14, or whatever are the stories that I have heard them all, and they're painful. Mm. But part of, I will not change people's minds. I know that. Your mind is yours. You will do what you will do. But if I, by showing up, can offer you a different room in that house, the one that you've already coded that is not a room that is interesting to you, without even going in, without even knowing what's in it, you've only looked at it from the outside, and not even this house, the house market. And you, because you heard me talk or say, or I say something, or I'm not threatening enough, or I am man enough for sure. I tell you that. I am man enough for you to listen to what I have to say. And for a minute, you consider. And one of the things that one of the chapters in the book is about considering. Mm-hmm. Just consider. Consider the podcast. Consider the conversation. Consider this. Consider that. If I wouldn't consider to go and talk to the Pope when he said he wanted to see me, I wouldn't have had 90 minutes alone with that man that were enlightening for me and hopefully for him.
Well, you started with saying that you don't think you can change people's minds. And I think with what you just described, you are indeed changing people's minds.
I tell you what, change is within. We have this wanting to try and get the change from the outside, to sort of walk away from responsibility. I can tell you 100%, you're not going to change my mind if I don't want you to. You won't, Jamie. Not even with that beautiful FM voice that you have. So what I believe, and because if I believe that I can change you and your mind, I should be in a different job. What I tell you is, I will share my path. I will share my experience. And you will do with it what suits your path. And if within that path, there is some identity that can get better situated or adjusted or aligned better, then God bless. Then that's a spiritual moment. That's a moment where you go, okay, those whatever 2 minutes or 2 hours was absolutely worth the journey.
I love that. Yes. Real quick. Okay, Victoria, we got to wrap up.
Okay, so we're going to do now rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Victoria?
I am as ready as I can be, Liz. Let's do it.
Okay, great. I feel like I have a sense you're going to crush this just based on your entire personality. So tell us the last time that you apologized.
Yesterday.
Why?
Because I didn't think that I listened to what was being said, and my wife asked me to please not poke at something, but give it back in a place of reference to what I had done. And I said, I'm sorry, I think you're right. I would have done that. When I did this, I did it this way. And that's what helped me. And she said, okay, by identifying your issue with mine, then I feel that we can talk about it together in a path, as opposed to I'm over here, you're over here, and you're telling me what I'm doing wrong, versus like she's like, I know what I'm doing wrong. I just want to learn from your journey in that subject. And I did, and I shared that with her, and she said, that's beautiful. I apologize just so you know, there's not one day that goes by that I don't apologize to someone about something.
Beautiful.
Because I am a boss, and bosses have the ultimate responsibility, which means if you feel like I'm failing you, I am failing you. So for that, I have to apologize. Now let's talk about how you got to that conclusion.
And in one sense, your advice to a woman who's entering a managerial role or executive role:
be the best you that you can be, because no one knows that. No one knows how to be the best Liz, the best Justin, the best Jamie. You can pretend to be like me and you will fail. I can tell you that. You will.
Damn it.
Sorry. So the thing about Hollywood is you come into Hollywood. If you come into Hollywood as Plato, they'll make you into what they want you to be.
Yes, they will.
You come in with your shape and you know what kind of toy you are. Yeah, there may be some moments that here and there you might change, those boots for those boots, but you wear boots. And nobody is going to tell you to wear high heels because you wear boots. And find the room, find the company, find the people, find your tribe that is okay with you wearing boots, whatever that is, right?
Beautiful.
You got to find who the people are, who is that place that you belong as you are. I could have become so many people in this journey, so many. And I know that success has, for the record, it has not eluded me. I have been successful, but I know that I would have gotten quicker to certain levels if I would have pretended to be somebody else.
And that success might have been more short-lived too. Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, I can see, because you're like me, rapid fire is difficult because you have so much to share.
No rapid fire with
There's no rapid fire. I know it well. But let's try. 3 words or less. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, 3 words or less. Something that you love about yourself.
I smile all the time.
Something that you feel could be better about yourself.
I need to not be codependent.
Something you're afraid of.
Earthquakes. Deadly afraid of earthquakes.
Well, you're living in the wrong place.
I know. Is the only thing that truly shocks me to the core.
Yes.
Okay, Victoria, you have a time machine. You get to travel back in time to a younger version of yourself. I know your father passed away when you were young, maybe around that time. What do you want to whisper in the ear of your younger self?
What do I want to whisper? You know, I've been asked this question before, and in truth, I would want to tell her, keep on going. Keep on going. Saddle up and take that journey with that horse and just keep on going, regardless. Jump every hurdle. Keep on going, which is no different than what I do now. So to be honest, I would say keep on going in every language that comes your way. Because I would love to. I was just in Rome at the Vatican, and I understand a lot of Italian, but I thought, you know, my grandparents were Italian. Why didn't I do more Italian? Because I was doing French. And it was like, so those things were like, keep on going in every language. Just keep on going. I find that there's not enough time in the day to do all the things that we have to do. So I will tell her it's all good.
Time is a cruel joke. And now you get to travel to the future. And you get to be a guest at your own funeral.
Yeah.
And your daughter is up there talking about you. What do you hope? What do you hope she says about who you are and the way you move through the world?
I think it would be great if she said I was a badass, which she tells me all the time. My mom is a badass, and she took no crap from anybody, and laughed all the time about everything and sang her heart out, whether it was in tune or not, who cares, and had a whole lot of fun, and along the way was able to give others a platform to become a better version of themselves, or not even better, just a version of themselves that they get to love.
Beautiful.
I'm going to die when I'm 108, so she's going to be old, right? So I don't even know if she'll be able to say much of this, but I'm 108. I'm 56, so there you have it. I got a lot to do. Got a lot to do, my friends.
Jamie, last question.
Okay, this is for you. We normally ask people, what does it mean to you to be man enough? And you keep referencing, like, I'm man enough to do this and all of this. We'd like to know, to you and for you, what does it mean to be man enough?
Well, I think to be man enough is to be human enough.
Yeah.
That's exactly. To be human, that's what it comes down to.
That's it. That's the rapid fire question. That's it. You don't need anything else.
Yeah, that's it.
Hold on, Victoria. I'm adding one more question to the end of this. Okay. It's a yes or no question, Victoria.
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel inspired after talking to the three of us to leave Marvel Studios and join Wayfarer Studios? You can say yes or no, and we can work out all the details later. But Jamie's the president of Wayfarer Studios. We're making movies. You could be the co-president with Jamie.
Done.
Latina.
Signed.
Boom. Come on.
Signed.
Say yes. Okay. We're gonna talk about this later. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your time, which I know is so valuable and expensive. And I just want to say that you are man enough and human enough and woman enough and all of the enoughs. And you're so inspiring. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
We will be right back. This is Man Enough. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Man Enough. Wow, what a I want her on speed dial. What a powerhouse of a woman.
That's the word I was thinking. Powerhouse, indeed. And just such energy and such. She does two things at the same time. You can see that she's very, very powerful and confident and strong, and doesn't take any BS. And then on the other hand, she's super compassionate and understanding and has these qualities. Really, she has like the feminine and masculine qualities so wonderfully mixed, you know?
And she came out right out of the gate with like a very interesting reading of us as a little unit.
Mm-hmm. She told me I had a nice FM voice. She said that you didn't smile enough. Right. And Justin, what did she say about you?
I think she was like, why did you name the show Man Enough? So I think it was really more like she was questioning my taste of why I would name the show Man Enough. But it was really interesting. I loved that. She's the first guest to invite us to her podcast on our show.
That's right.
And that takes power. Like that takes supreme confidence and power. And what I loved about it was that we didn't agree with her. We gave her feedback, or we talked about it, and then she agreed with us. She was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a great answer," or "Oh, that makes perfect sense," or "You are doing the work." And I can just imagine if she was my boss, as an example, how much I would learn about myself just based on being in her presence and the questions that she would ask me. I think we could all learn a lot from that conversation and from experiencing her energy, because we didn't feel uncomfortable. We didn't feel defensive. We weren't angry. And then at the end of it, it made us feel like she was listening to us and learning from us. And she started the conversation. So I just thought it was amazing.
We should have her back.
But Liz, I do feel like you smile a lot. So I do disagree a little bit. I feel like you smile a lot. You have a beautiful smile. But I understand your point. I understand. Yeah. I think she might have listened to like Emmanuel Acho's episode.
Yeah. Right. She saw one or two episodes, which, of course she's busy. But I will also say that I disagree. You do smile a lot.
You give me so much to smile about.
Well, although you did say, while we were interviewing with her, you responded with, "Well, they don't give me a lot of good reason to smile." That's what you said.
Oh, shit.
You just contradicted myself. This is why we wait to do outros. I feel I'm much nicer.
No. I love it. It means that
8 p.m., 9 p.m.
I love it.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, as always, you can follow us at manenough.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcasts, and on social media at We Are Man Enough. And until next time, I'm Justin Baldoni.
I'm Liz Plank.
I'm Jamie Heath.
And wait, what is it, Jamie? FM voice, go.
And this is Man Enough. Thanks for listening.